Hello, everyone, and welcome to TP Talks. TP Talks is a webinar series hosted by Teleperformance as a means of sharing innovations and market trends with our clients, with our prospects, and with our friends across the landscape. And for today's session, specifically across the financial services ecosystem. My name is John Machinsky, and I'm Executive Vice President and Customer Experience Strategist for Teleperformance. I've got the honor of hosting and moderating this webinar series, and today introducing our esteemed guest speaker, Melissa O'Brien from HFS Research. Before we get to Melissa, we've got a few housekeeping rules for this session and some quick information about Teleperformance. This webinar is designed to be interactive, and we've made it easy for you to reach out and ask questions via the TP Talks portal. You'll see various icons on this screen that you'll be able to use throughout the course of this webinar. So this session is designed to be easy to digest nuggets of information, taking no longer than 30 minutes. So we will be done promptly by 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And over the course of that, we'll be going through the content through Melissa, as well as one other guest speaker here that we'll be introducing to Devinder Singh from Teleperformance. So a little bit about Teleperformance. As the global leader in customer experience solutions, we're in a unique position to provide insights from a variety of industries, geographies, and contact channels. And in fact, we speak with 40% of the world's population every year, with over 217,000 employees across 74 countries and all across the U.S. and Canada. We've been recognized by many of the world's leading companies through our forward-thinking approach and enabling solutions. And in the U.S. alone, we work with each of the top 10 banks. We've also been acknowledged as an industry leader by the most distinguished analysts, including possibly the toughest judge of all, and she's sitting here next to me, with Melissa O'Brien from HFS. So with no further ado, I would love to introduce you to Melissa O'Brien, Research Director at HFS Research. Today, Melissa is going to be speaking to integrating front office, middle office, and back office, introducing HFS's exciting concept of intelligent one office, the vision, and discuss frameworks and best practices for integration. Provide insights into integrating them to one office and how sharing synergies between the two divisions will lead to an improved customer experience, and discuss examples of specific back office processes that can be integrated with front office to lower the total cost of ownership. Following Melissa again, we'll have Devinder Singh from Teleperformance speak to specific use cases and how to apply this to the financial services industry. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Melissa.
Great. Thanks, John. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure speaking with you all today on this TP Talk session. And as John mentioned, I've been following this industry, contact center and customer experience, generally for the last 6 years, and come from a contact center background myself. And I'm with HFS Research, so we're a third-party market research firm. We started as a blog. What you're looking at right now is actually our very first blog, published back in 2006, and that was a platform that started HFS. And we have evolved into a full-service research firm. And as I mentioned, we're focused solely on the services industry, and look at the trends, look to understand what service providers are doing in the space, what buyers need, and then lend our expertise and our thoughts and analysis on how those relationships can work better, and advise the two sides. So that's what we do in a nutshell. I'm going to start off and show you a bit of data. So we'll start off with some investment information. We run several of these surveys every year to ask buyers across various industries what their priorities are, what their interests are, and their corporate initiatives. And so as you can see here, we've got some data both for a total population of enterprise buyers, and then broken down as well for the banking and financial services industry. So as you can see here, we've got significant investment going into things like RPA, analytics solutions, so those kind of back office things that keep the wheels turning and keep things running at organizations. But we've also got a very strong focus, thinking about investments in the coming 2 years around customer-centric digital enablement. So, what does that mean? Well, all the things that we're talking about as consumers, the way that we use technology to communicate, we're now expecting to be able to do that with the businesses that we interact with as well. So whether it's self-serve on mobile, it's social technology, it's these different platforms, and banks as well as the larger sort of enterprise buyer landscape are really focused on this and placing a significant investment, 30% of banking buyers on that space. So there's a lot that goes into that. So I'm going to show you a little bit more data before we talk a bit about the one office concept. In terms of just general directives for operations strategy, as you can see, driving down costs always comes out at the top of these types of questions. That's not a surprise. But improving the customer experience, and as you can see, over a quarter of banking institutions, they are saying that this is mission critical. So what does that mean? Aligning sort of the back and middle office to the front office in order to improve customer experience. It's recognizing that everyone's role and all the processes in the organization ultimately do roll up to that customer experience. So it's certainly a lofty task, but it's mission critical for banks as well as other enterprises. And if you want to see customer centricity across various industries, as you can see, banks, manufacturing, and energy kind of middle of the road, with about half saying that their sourcing models are going to be impacted by a customer-first strategy. Those really kind of customer-focused organizations in retail and hospitality being up at the front there. And what this means really is that half of the banking buyers that we interacted with in this survey said that fundamentally this is going to change the way that they interact with their service provider landscape, whether that's a BPO provider, an IT services provider, consulting firms, and so forth. They're going to start using this customer-centric mentality to drive that. And so there's lots of implications to it around metrics, the way that contracts are structured, the way that relationship works as well. So that brings me to a concept that we have developed at HFS that we call the Digital One Office Organization. So I'm going to walk you through this. Visual here. What we have on the left is basically the goal. This is the end game of what we're trying to accomplish and achieve in meeting our customers at those places where they expect to be able to communicate with us, whether that's mobile applications, social media, self-service, and various other elements of that. So we all kind of know what that means from a front-end perspective, but it's so much more than just having a mobile app or having a sleek and sexy website that people can interact with well. I heard someone recently call that digi-washing because it looks great. It looks fantastic from the front end of digital, but there's so much more that goes underneath that in order to enable it. And if you don't connect the back office and the middle office processes to be able to support that, at the end of the day, it's just going to be a hollow experience for your customer. It's not going to necessarily be able to, help them achieve what they want to accomplish in interacting and doing business with you. And it's also a missed opportunity for meaningful interactions that can lead to loyalty, that can lead to growth and revenues and all those things that are so important to our businesses. So what we have on the right-hand side is just looking at all the processes and the way that they support that end goal, that vision. So having the underbelly or kind of the automated processes to support that, looking at the HR, procurement, supply chain, IT, all of those support functions and how they act as a catalyst. and intelligent processes, increasingly looking at being able to use cognitive, being able to use analytics and all those things to meet customers in real time to understand them better. So this is what we talk about with the one office concept, and really trying to not just connect the front office pieces and understand the customer journey, but to also align the entire organization to that vision. One more piece of data that I'll share with you here that kind of supports that vision is, we asked whether or not buyers agreed or disagreed with these statements. And what I really wanted to highlight was that using intelligent operations to be able to align the middle office and the back office with the core business will have the biggest impact. And again, that goes back to those relationships both internally within your organizations and the way that the governance is structured, the way that people view their roles and people view the processes, but also impacting those relationships with service providers and the whole kind of partner ecosystem that you have within an enterprise organization. So I just wanted to end on a couple of quotes that we pulled out from some of our client conversations. In addition to doing these larger surveys, we also have lots of conversations just directly with services buyers, and these were from two banks in particular. And I just wanted to call these out because I think the first one speaks to really putting the customer at the center of the organization and the imperative to do that. And then the second piece being in working with a service provider, the expectation to have thought leadership and to work together as partners to really try and figure this out, understand what this means for your organization. And buyers like yourselves or enterprise banks are looking to their service providers for that kind of thought leadership. So with that, I'll pass back to you.
Great.
John.
All right. Thank you very much, Melissa. So there will be an opportunity at the end of the session, too, for Q&A. So if anybody does have any questions you'd like to submit, please do so through the portal, and we'll make sure that we get to those here at the very end of this call. And transitioning here from this topic, we'd like to be able to put out a poll for all of the attendees here in this session, too. So everybody should see that in front of you now. And the question for today is, where is your organization on the path to one office? You've got 5 options here. So the first, we are there. We have developed a fully customer-centric, integrated, and real-time responsive organization. 2, we are on the road and starting to come together across silos and implementing customer-centric efforts. 3, it's a start of a work in progress. We're working on it in bits and pieces. 4, trying, but not even close. And number 5, it's not an initiative. So if everybody could please answer the poll here, and we will then share the results momentarily. All right, here are the results from the poll. So it looks like it's a good split here. It looks like nobody has truly solved this problem, and it also looks like it is on everybody's radar here. So it looks like a working effort here for most organizations somewhere along the path. So thank you very much for that. So at this point, I would like to introduce again Devinder Singh. Devinder leads Teleperformance's efforts in the integration of front and back office. And we'll be going through then a use case, or actually several here, specific to the financial services industry regarding the one office concept. So Devinder, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, John. So financial services vertical represents a very large portfolio of the business that we service at Teleperformance. And so what we find in talking to the clients that we service and some of the other leaders in the space is that their front office and the back office programs are set up as a silo process. They utilize, different set of agents, different processes, different technology, and different stakeholders. And in looking at those programs, the technology, the processes, and the tools, and the people, rarely talk to each other. And as you look at how these processes were set up, this evolution happened over a long time. So the front office processes were deemed to be more customer-centric, requiring a different set of agent skill, and the back office processes were seen as more operational efficient or labor-centric, requiring a different set of skills. And for a long time, the companies have seen a lot of great benefits with this approach. They have seen their back office transaction cost go down a lot. They have seen huge improvements in the front office from customer centricity. But now we are at a point where the benefits in each of those silos are becoming smaller and smaller. And so the next evolution to get the next exponential benefit, we need to look at what processes between the front office and the back office can we bring together to get the customer-centric and the effortless experience that Melissa described and unlock the value and deliver a much higher benefit to your stockholders and your customers. So the process that I'm going to walk you through is for a credit card company, and what you see on the top are the silo processes for front office, and in the bottom are the processes for back office company processes for a credit card company. And again, this is a use case, and as you look across your portfolio, whether that's retail banking or mortgage processing or any other process, you'll find the same approach to work in the one office concept across your portfolio as well. So the first example I'm going to use is for customer acquisition process and utilizing the framework that Melissa described of one office. So if we bring together the front office processes along with the back office processes in a truly integrated way, whether in the back office, you look at how you target your customers, how you market to your customers, and in the front office, how you acquire those customers through inbound or outbound telemarketing. So if you were to truly integrate those two components, what you will see is a much lower cost per acquired member. You'll see increased conversion and a much more profitable and a loyal customer. So this approach, will become clearer as I go through the next couple of examples. So if you take the account servicing function, what we find in the front office are there are a lot of calls that come into the contact centers are from customers, with late fees or interest charges. And if you look at where these exceptions are happening, exceptions are happening in your back office when the bill is getting generated or when the customer is getting past their due date in making the payment. So with this one office approach, you look at a truly integrated way on how you can curate or treat these exceptions. So instead of the customer calling into your contact centers and asking for reversal on the late fees or interest charges, which in the most cases you do anyway, what if you were to proactively reach out to your customers and offer to waive the late fees or the interest charges and present this approach in a concierge type of a service? And what would that do in terms of reduction to the calls to the front office or improving NPS score or customer effort? So the example that I used, is a really simple example, is an intuitive example. In reality, these integration and interactions, as Melissa mentioned, would be analytics driven. They look at the correlations of what's happening in the back office and the front office, looking at the root causes and truly presenting a one office approach to your customers. And the last example I'm going to use is in the transaction management space. What we see are a lot of calls coming in due to fraudulent activity in the contact centers. So, whether that's fraud that's happening in the credit card or disputed transactions. So again, looking at an analytics-based approach and treating those exceptions in the back office and curating those as they happen would lead to reduction of calls in the front office and the lower total cost of your operation, would lead to improved NPS score and a lower customer effort. So again, in this short amount of time, we have barely scratched the surface of the benefits that the TP One Office can provide, and would be happy to engage in sessions, talk about your specific processes, your specific use cases, and show how the TP One Office can unlock the value by breaking down the barriers between the front office and back office. Back to you, John.
All right, great. Thanks very much, Devinder. So now we are ready for any questions that anybody would like to submit. We've got a few questions we've received here already, but we'll take a moment here if everybody could think of any questions that we haven't been able to answer thus far on this webinar. And well, we got 5 minutes here at the end of the session to be able to go through the Q&A. All right, so we've got a few questions. Why don't we start out here with a question that we've got from Dee. The question is, what type of benefits is Teleperformance seeing with the One Office approach? So I guess, Devinder, that will go to you.
Perfect. So again, I think, we are on a journey. We are on the initial phases of implementing this for a lot of our clients. And, what we are seeing are benefits that are exponential in the range of 25 to 35%. And, this is a combination of, multiple things. This is a combination of reduction of calls that are coming into the front office. This is a combination of a reduced customer effort, which leads to a lower handle time. This is a combination of increased first call resolution to our customers and a higher and a more effortless experience. And the second aspect we are seeing is an improved customer experience. So we are seeing the NPS scores in the 8 to 12% increase from an NPS perspective. And again, each use case and the benefits that you will see will be different based on where you are in the journey of implementing One Office and the tools and technology and the sophistication that you have around that.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Devinder. Our next question comes in from Jay, and the question is, does this approach have an impact on outsourcing strategy? So, Melissa.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it does. When we speak with buyers, we're increasingly hearing that the outsourcing strategy is shifting toward different types of relationships. So, kind of the traditional, really tactical, mess for less kind of outsourcing still exists. I think it will continue to exist, but it's also shifting to become a more strategic partnership, and that's what what buyers are looking for in their outsourcing strategy. So, in particular, I think for the customer engagement side of things, for those types of engagements, we hear buyers all the time saying, look, they know our business. They talk to our customers constantly. So we're looking for more insight. We're looking for more strategy and design. And we're also seeing the partnerships work really well in doing things like design thinking workshops and trying to, look at that customer journey and kind of do that together with their partners. So I think in that sense, the outsourcing strategy has shifted quite a bit.
All right, great. Thanks, Melissa. The next question is from Dave, and to apply this, is it a process to connect the front, middle, and back office, or is it an application? And so with that, Devinder, can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as Melissa, mentioned, it starts with the design thinking, right? So, the question you got to ask is, what problem are you trying to solve before you put the technology in place? So you look at the processes that happen in your front, middle, and back office. You look at, the analytics that drive the interactions, and as a result, multiple downstream and upstream processes. So the first and foremost, you have to find a way to solve through design thinking, and that's where the process integration comes in, and that's where an outsourcer can help with the process integration. So, and once the process is in place, that's where the technology and the other aspects come in, and we make it more efficient through those processes. And Melissa might have other thoughts around this.
No, I agree. I think you summed it right up.
All right, our next question. So with the role of emerging technologies, you hear a lot about AI these days. So what role does AI or other newer technologies also play then in developing a one-office concept?
So I think AI and cognitive technology are going to play a big role, and those technologies are evolving and getting more sophisticated pretty quickly. The impact that I think that will have is really to make the office more intelligent, make the one office more intelligent, to the extent that, data is sort of the new currency now, and using those technologies to pull in data, to be more proactive, to understand customers better. All of these things I think are really going to, augment our human intelligence, make us be able to do our jobs better. And so I think that's definitely something to watch, both in terms of the ways that technology can interact with our customers, as well as how we can interact with that. So, for example, look at a technology like IP Softamalia, where folks are using that oftentimes within their own organizations to, to better get access to things that they need quickly, to understand problems better, and then be able to interact with the customer in a more meaningful way. So I think that's something really to keep a close eye on.
All right, perfect. All right, and then the next question is, how have you seen companies break down the organizational barriers to implementing the solution? So with that, Devinder, why don't you start?
Yeah, and I think that's to Melissa's point. I think this starts with the higher level thinking, which is how do you align everybody to the first to be customer centric. So you look at some of the SLA and the KPIs in the back office today. They are completely operational focused. So can you start to introduce customer-centric view or SLAs and measurements in your front office, in your back office, and your mid office? And once you got the overarching alignment of the goals and the strategy, the organization then comes in place to solve that problem.
All right, perfect. All right, so one final question we had here then as well is, will we be receiving a copy of the presentation? And the answer to that is yes. Anybody that does want to receive a copy of this presentation, if you could please send a note out following this. You'll notice that there is a mail icon that everybody's got available to you. So if you send that over, you can in fact use that for any questions that haven't been addressed on this webinar, as well as if you want to get in touch with Teleperformance overall, or to get a copy of the presentation. Please feel free to go ahead and click on that and send the message along here, and we will respond promptly. So I would like to thank our presenters, Melissa O'Brien and Devinder Singh here today for an informative session. As you take a look at the overall concept, this is something that has gained a tremendous amount of popularity. As you've seen a number of benefits to be gained, through being able to do this, where the changes here on the traditional means of being able to develop economies, both in the front office and back office, are just yielding at this point smaller and smaller overall improvements. And so this has become, I know from my standpoint, a very popular topic and one that's been very beneficial for anybody that's gone down this path. So I hope that there have been some opportunities here for the attendees here on this call to be able to take away some of these nuggets and be able to make this useful. I would like to thank everybody for taking time out of your day to be able to spend some time with us. Please do be on the lookout for future TP Talks events, which will happen again very, very soon. So thanks again, and have a great day.